Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this photograph frame. It was inspired by two swaps I received when I was on the Stampin' Up 2017 incentive trip to Thailand at the beginning of last month. The two swaps I received were this one, which was made by Meg Loven, and I wanted to make something that showed how this is made, because it means that you could stand up like mine, a photograph frame, or some artwork like Meg has done. And the other swap that I received was this beautiful photograph frame. This was made by Hattie Walker, and Hattie made it so that it could hang up, and I thought both of those were brilliant ideas and I would combine the two in one. So I've done the photograph frame, but I've done it so that it stands up, taking Meg's idea. So many thanks to both Meg Loven and Hattie Walker for your swaps and the inspiration. So to start off with, I'm going to tell you the card pieces that we need. So first of all, you need some white card, and I've used the white card that comes at the back of our designer series paper. So this measures 6 inches by 4 inches, which is 15.2 by 10.1 centimetres. You need another piece of cardstock, and this is for the actual easel part at the back here. And this measures 3 7/8 inches by 2 1/4 inches, which is 9.8 by 5.7 centimetres. Just put something over here so I don't get lost. And for the contrast sheet, which is the sheet that you can see the surround and you can see through there and has framed, and also the bow here. So for this one I'm going to use our thick vanilla cardstock, and this measures 6 inches by 4 inches, which is 15.2 by 10.1 centimetres. And then you need another piece of contrast, which again, the thick very vanilla cardstock, which measures 5 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, which is 14.6 by 9.5 centimetres. And then you need a piece of designer series paper. Now I think it's better if you use some of the specialty paper, which is a bit thicker than our normal. Although I have started doing something now on these where it's not that important, and I'll explain that bit when we get to it, but I do prefer to use a specialty paper, and this should measure 5 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, which is 14.6 by 9.5 centimetres. And then you'll need another piece of contrast, which is for the frame, and this measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is 13.4 by 8.3 centimetres. And then you need a piece of our acetate, which measures 5 1/2 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is 14 by 8.9 centimetres. And this is just a piece of backing paper that comes with the acetate. And then you'll also need a piece of the contrast, which is for the bow, and this measures, let's move that out of the way because of the reflection, this measures 4 inches by 2 1/4 inches, which is 10.1 by 5.7 centimetres. So the first job we're going to do is we're going to score the support for our to stand our photograph frame up on. So I need my scoreboard and my scoring tool. Now if you have, like me, drawn a line down the centre of your scoreboard, this is quite nice and easy, because you just put 1 point in at the 6-inch mark, you put this down here on the 6-inch mark and you score. But if you don't have that line, if you put your scoring tool in at number 6, and I always recommend that you use the same number each time so you never get confused. So if you put it in at 6 inches and bring it down, stay in that groove, and then you know you can slide it back up again to find where you should be. Okay, but I've got my red line through here, so straight into number 6, into my red line and score. That's all you need to do on that. And then that just needs to be folded along the score line. Now, because I've got the writing on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my contrast sheet on there because the black isn't going to show through, because I didn't want it to come through on this side. You can see it through very, very slightly here, but by the time you've got the front on here and you've got a picture or a saying or something in there, it won't be visible at all. So I'm going to put this onto here with Tombow. You could use fast fuse for this. So that should fit on here perfectly. There we go. Then we need to adhere this on the back. At the moment it doesn't matter which is the back and which is front, but with this you need to have the straight line there going towards the top. You don't want it fitted right onto the top, you need to have it coming down just a little way. Now, to make sure that this is going to be in the centre, I am going to line this up. You can't see the bottom part of my... I wonder if I can push that forward a bit. Yes. Right, just to do this bit, then I'll bring it back down again. Now this we know is 6 inches, so it's going to be 3 inches that side, 3 inches that side. And this is 2 1/4 inches. So we know that that 4 squares is 2 inches. So that'll come just over. And it'll come just over that one. So I just make sure that both sides come over approximately the same. It really isn't crucial. And then I make sure this corner comes down to approximately the same amount over. So that's, I'm going to say that's about 1/16 of an inch over. 2 1/4. No, it's 1/8, isn't it? It's got to be 1/8 if that was, and that's 1/8 of an inch as well. These grid sheets are absolutely brilliant. Okay, so just now I've brought that down to my 9 1/8. I'm going to put a little pencil mark there and a little pencil mark there, and I know that's where I've got to line this up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my Tombow on here. Again, you could use fast fuse. I've got a new bottle of Tombow here, so it's coming out quite quickly. Right, so I'm just going to pop that back into the centre again, into the middle of my grid paper, and then I am going to put this so that this one comes down to my 9 1/8 and line that up with that one and that with that, and then I know that is straight. Okay. And then later on I will use my eraser to get that out. I'm not going to do it at the moment because it's Tombow and that will slide if I put too much pressure on it. Right, so now this is the stage where I said that I think you could probably now get away with using normal DSP, because what I've done is the last one, this one is, yep, this one is the latest one that I've made, and I put a sheet of oh, you blushing bride on that, didn't I? I put a sheet of cardstock anyway on the back of this, and it has stayed with the gap there without any kind of support on its own, whereas this one that I made earlier, if you have a look at, can you see it? That there is dipping in slightly, whereas that one is staying out, is staying straight beautifully. Alright, so because you're putting a sheet of cardstock at the back, I do think you would probably get away with using normal cardstock design series paper here. I haven't tried it, but that's me just trying to apply logic to it. I think it will work. Right, I'm going to do this one in blue. Yes. Right, so I'm going to adhere this on with Tombow. Now this is a sheet that I'm going to be needing to cut a window out of, so I need to put quite a lot of Tombow on. If you're using fast fuse, you've got to make sure you cover most of it. Either will work really well. There we go, that should be fine. I mean, it's not solid, but it's got plenty on it. Okay, can you see? Yes, you can. Can just about see that. So I'm going to pop that onto here, and again, this should fit perfectly. Oops. I was going to say no, it doesn't, but then it's slid, and it's close enough. As long as I can't see the very vanilla from the front, then I'm happy. So now we need to cut the window out of here, and what I'm using are the lots of labels dies, and I'm going to use the largest two, so that's 6 or 7. And if you haven't seen my filing system before with my dies, I always die cut the shapes and put them on the back. If you want more details about this, check out my video number 273. It shows you how I do all of this and where I get my bits from as well. So that's what I'm going to need. I'll bring my Big Shot up. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to pop this on here. Turn it over. It's got a bit of a dip, so I prefer the down dip against the magnetic bit, the magnetic platform. So I'm going to use that, and I hope I've still got my little ruler here somewhere. Oh no, don't disappear on me, please. I needed you. Oh, I'm going to have to use a big ruler. I need... Oh no, here it is. I found it. Of course, I used it, didn't I? So I'm using the smaller of the dies. It's number 6. And I'm going to pop it on there. I am just going to eyeball to make sure that that is the same as that gap. But I am going to use my ruler to make sure that I've got this bit straight. And what I'm going to do is just move that to make sure it's 1/2 inch, yes, and that one is 1/2 inch as well. Go on, push it. Yes. Yes. As I say, I'm not going to worry too much about that and that. It looks straight, or at least even, not straight. So I'm going to cut this through. Now, because I've got 2 layers here, I'm just going to pop it through once and then bring it back again. I'm not sure that that's really necessary, but erring on the side of caution. There we go, cuts out beautifully. Okay, so I will save that in case I can use it again. So that's my piece with my window. Now I need to use this piece here, because this is going to be my frame. So I think I prefer to do the large one first. So let's cut that one out. And then I'll bring in number 6. And I'm just going to line that up. Now, oops, didn't mean to throw that on the floor. Oh yes, quite important. Right, let's just move this over here a minute so that I can get a good view on top of it. What I need to do is make sure that the gap down there is the same as the gap down there. Otherwise the frame's going to be very uneven. That looks about right. Now I need to make sure that this is about the same as that, and that looks about right as well. That's amazing. All afternoon I've had to really fight to get that sorted out. No, I'm not complaining. If it goes right while I'm doing a video, then that's good. In fact, let me bring this back into shot again. Oops, no, wrong way. Right, there we go. So we should have a nice even frame here. There we go. That looks good to me. And of course there's another one there to be used for another project. So let's just pop this back. Okay. So let's bring this back down. I don't think we need the measurements anymore. So let's just make sure I don't have any hairy bits on here. That's looking good. Make sure this one's okay as well. Yep, I think that's okay. So what I need to do is to adhere that onto there, first of all. So I'll bring my little silicone mat in. And I'll go very careful how much glue I put on here. Otherwise it'll be oozing out the side and won't look very attractive. Again, fast fuse will be fine for this. and just line that up. Okay, so that's good. So what we need to do is, oh I know, put this, we're going to put the acetate onto the back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue about 1/2 inch all the way around here. Again, you could use acetate, you could use, what's that? Looks like some, maybe if I put a bit too much glue, and that's come oozing out there. Right, what was I going to say? You could use fast fuse for this. The thing is, you don't want this to come oozing onto the inside of the acetate so it shows through the window, and equally you don't want it coming on the outside here so that the inside of your photo frame gets a bit sticky, and then you put a photograph or your saying or poem in there and it gets stuck, which is what you don't want. Okay, so I'm going to leave that piece of paper on my acetate, just helps to keep it a bit cleaner, and then I'm positioning that right in the centre, giving it a little press down, then I can take that off and you can see where the glue is. Okay, that's not going to be seen, so that's no problem whatsoever. Right, now to get this adhered to this, okay, it's going to be looking like that. I'm going to use our strips of double-sided foam that we use for shaker cards, and I'm going to put it onto here. I'm going to look at this, see which I want to be my the bottom of my frame. Don't really think it makes any difference, does it? They look about equal. Okay, so we say that this is the bottom. So first of all, I'm going to put a strip of this. Got to measure it approximately. Scissors. Now, one thing that I would do, if you choose to use, let's just pop that down on there for a minute. If you choose to use something a bit darker than what I've been doing here, something like this. This is from our Foil Frenzy design. This is the first one I made, and you can definitely see how that is collapsing inside because I didn't put another sheet on the back. You see that? Anyway, what I did with this, because I didn't want white foam showing down there because it would be just too obvious, I took my marker pen, and I think I used crumb cake on that one, and I just went along and I coloured all the edge before I put it on here, so that now, don't know if you can see that, yes you can, see there's like a light brown in there. It's not terribly dark, but it does stop it being really vividly white, so you may want to bear that in mind. Right, now, oh, here's the piece I cut off. So I'm just going to run this along the edge here. I don't know how much gap I'm leaving, it's probably about 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to cut that bit off. Lost my rubbish bin. Okay, let's leave that there for the time being. And now I need two pieces for here, and I've got two smaller bits on this piece here. And will that fit? Yes. So what I'm going to do is cut them about there. Let's take the first one. Again, about, okay, let's do the one nearest to me, it's easier, about 1/16 of an inch in. It doesn't really affect your the size of your photograph or sentiment, whatever, because you can only go as far as this size and from that side, otherwise it just disappears behind the backing. Right, where's this other one? Let's pop that on there. And cut that piece off. Right, now I have got to be careful which way I do this. Okay, so we adhered that right near the top, so we know that's a top, and we know this is the top because that's where we need to slide our photograph or picture in. So the other bit of measuring I'm going to do is I'm going to measure up from, this is the top of my, no it isn't, this is the bottom of my frame, and I'm going to measure up 1/4 inch. Now these lines will be covered up, and that's centimetres. Right, let's do 1/4 inch. Quarter of an inch, and of course because this is at the bottom, the overhang from here will cover this up, cover the pencil marks up. Okay, so I'm only going to take off the paper from the long one at the bottom. I'm leaving these on. So now I can pop this on here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to check that I've got the same amount of gap here as I have this side, and then I'm going to make it so that this piece here just covers up those pencil marks. Right, I think that looks pretty straight. Yes, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to use my tweezers and pull these pieces of paper off of that backing, and also this one here. And press that down. In fact, that is going outwards quite a bit, but I'd much rather it going out than sinking in. So all I'm left to do now is the bow that I have on the front here, this one, and I use the bow maker punch for this. So that's what that little piece was for. So you need to punch this out twice. That's once that end. And once that end. You only need one of these straight bits, but otherwise you need all of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pencil to curl these around. I mean, obviously you could decorate these with how you wanted to. I like the idea that Hattie used here. This is from the Eastern Promise die set. I really like that. But that wouldn't have worked on mine because it comes off the edge here. I could have done it to come up higher, but I'm not quite sure it would have looked quite as nicely balanced as Hattie's one does. Right, so there's those, and then I do the two tails as well. And then I will do a little bit for this as well, just to help it to curl around. Now this is where glue dots really come into their own. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to put one on the end of each. And then I'm going to put one on the outside, so where the curl is. Yes, I need it on the outside there. This one I always get wrong. Okay, so on the outside again. Now what I do when I fold these in half is I always keep a pencil in between so that I can get those two bits together, line them up, and I know that I'm not going to have an accident and my fingers slip and create a real crease in that. That is something I really don't want. Okay, so the pencil will help to keep it nicely rolled around. And then I'm going to take another glue dot to put these two pieces together. And then I'm going to take the tail of the bow. In fact, I know what I did before that. I put an extra glue dot up there. Can you see where I've done that? Yep. And I do the same on this one as well. There we go. And then I can stick one on the back there, and then the other one I can stick on the back there. And then to make sure that those other little glue dots get stuck, what I do is I put my bow down, just push it down in the centre there, and then I put my pencil in and just give it a press down. Again, it stops this getting a crease in it. Now the last bit is to put this around, and I really think this could have been a bit longer, but never mind. First of all, I put one glue dot on the front, so I get that across there, hopefully about centre, and then I will take one to put on that end, and one to put on that end. Come on, let go. That's it. And then very carefully bring this one up and curl it around, and then this one up and curl that around as well. Okay, now I just need to pop this onto here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put one glue dot on the back where I've just wrapped that tab around it, and then I'm going to do one on the tail of the bow, just a little way up, and then another one on the other side. So then it's got 3 holding it in place. You could put it at the top if you wanted. And let's pop this back to centre it. There we go. Yep, you can still see. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that the edge of my bow here and here is coming to the end of my blue bit here. Just give that a press down. I need my pencil. Make sure that goes down nicely and that goes down nicely. And there you have it. A really lovely photograph frame piece of home decor, and it stands up beautifully. And I'm just so pleased how I get that gap in there now. So those are my 2 favourites. So let me get the other ones up as well so that you can see. Okay, you can see how that's dipping in a bit. And that one's dipping in a lot. But there we go. It's such a lovely project. Many thanks to Meg Loven for the stand-up bit at the back of the photograph frame. And many thanks to Hattie Walker for the idea for the photograph frame as well. They are absolutely super. I love them. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments box below the video. I'm always happy to help. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, I'll put a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below as well. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on the subscribe button. And finally, I will make a list of all the products that I've used and the product numbers and the sizes, measurements, where you score, etc. I will put that all in the box below for you. Below the video, you'll see there are 2 little arrows on the right hand side. If you click on the second arrow, that will open the box up and you'll see all the information in there. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.